Now joining me on the Peerless Boilers Hotline, Peerless Builds, America's Best Boilers, the lead color analyst for the NHL on NBC and NBC Sports. He is getting ready for tonight, Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals between the Devils and the LA Kings over at the Prudential Center, and that's our good buddy Eddie Olczyk, Edzo, Zach Gelb here, DARPATV.com in New York. Thank you for joining me, and how are you?
I'm doing fine, Zach. Nice to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you back on, and if you remember the last time you were on with us, it was right before Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals, Vancouver Canucks and the Boston Bruins, and I did ask you, because you were with the Penguins for a few years, if you were in the Stanley Cup Finals, you had a big game, how would you pump up your team? And you said you would pull out an 8-track, which was before my time, plug in a little Kenny Loggins, and play the song This Is It. Before Game 1 tonight, how would you get your team going? Are you playing that music tonight?
Well, I think I'd probably keep that one in my pocket until need be, Zach. I think for both of these teams, two teams that play with a lot of energy, know their strengths, certainly play to those. And, really my speech would be pretty simple, is we know how we've gotten here, know where we were, where we are, and where we're trying to get to. And, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and see it kind of go where it's from there.
I was thinking about you actually yesterday during the media day, because one of the Kings players said when Jonathan Quick, the Kings goaltender, had on his hood, he said he was challenging his little M&M, and I said that stuff wouldn't fly under an Eddie Olczyk coach team. No M&M, no Jay-Z in that locker room. He is only Kenny Loggins, strictly.
Well, certainly that is his trademark, that's for sure, Jonathan Quick. And when you played as well as he has, goaltenders are a different breed, as you know, Zach. So you let him kind of beat to their own drum, and you let him, you let him do his own thing. But as far as Eminem and all those other names you dropped on me, you'd have to talk to my young kids to get up to speed. And maybe I got to tap into their CD or their 8-track. To figure out what the heck is going on.
Now, for the last several years, you do all the games on the TV for NBC alongside with Doc Emmerich, who was on the show last week, and it's great stuff. But you also played for many years, and you were in a few Stanley Cup playoffs. And what's the difference, though, when you're from the TV and actually playing from an emotion standpoint for one Eddie Olczyk?
Well, I mean, it is much different. There's no doubt about it. And the chair that I get to sit in each and every night, Zach, is about telling people why, give them something to look for watching the broadcast on television, and tell people why, and that's about the extent of it. Much different coaching and playing. I mean, you're right in the middle of it. You have the opportunity to be a difference, and the winning and losing part. You know when you have a good show, you know when you have a rough night, and you try to make sure that those are far and in between on the broadcast side. But when it comes down to the actual playing and being a part of it, there's nothing like it, that's for sure. So it is much different, but it's a great privilege to get a chance to sit next to Doc, get a chance to work for the great folks at NBC, and our executive producer and our boss on the hockey side, Sam Flood. I mean, he has given me this opportunity. This will be my 6th final sitting in this chair next to Doc, and couldn't be more humbled and privileged with the opportunity to get a chance to do the games on NBC and watch the greatest sport in the world challenge for the Stanley Cup.
You look at this Devils team, and the one thing that really impressed me in that Rangers Eastern Conference Finals when the Devils did advance in 6 games was every single first period they came out and they were better than the Rangers. Can we expect this Devils team to have another hot first period tonight when puck drops around 8:10 or so?
Yeah, well, why not? And they're going to have their hands full with a really good, big LA team, a team that can play any way you want. And I think when you break it down, I think there's going to be a lot of offensive chances on both sides. I think both teams have the ability to be able to create. It's whether or not the goaltenders can make the stops, and can the defense, weather the storm. And I think that both defenses are going to get challenged. They're going to get challenged a lot of different ways. But I think LA just has a little bit too much depth, has a little bit too much skill, and can really play any way you want. And but why can't the Devils keep playing as well as they have in the first period? So I think it is to their system, it is to their belief, it is to how they want to play, getting off to really good starts, and much easier to play with the lead than it is coming from behind. But as I said earlier, Zach, I really believe that there's going to be chances in this series. I think that both teams are going to create enough. It's just whether or not they have the ability to be able to finish.
You look at this Kings team, they just steamrolled right through the West, and now they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and they've had a lot of off time. So that off time doesn't concern you going out when we see them in the first period tonight?
No, they've handled the off time very well. So I don't see it being really an issue at all. I mean, it is a much different animal now, that being the Stanley Cup Final. But more than anything, it's probably going to end up being mental for a lot of guys. But they've ended their series really quick. I'm not surprised that they're in the Stanley Cup Final. If you go to NHL.com back on October 3rd, I was interviewed by NHL.com and felt that, the headline is Olczyk likes Kings, and I'm staying with them, Zach. I just think that they're built for a long run, a long haul, and Dean Lombardi, general manager of the LA Kings, was aggressive during the regular season. He fired his coach, Terry Murray, who I think did a really good job defensively. Daryl Sutter's coming in and did a great job adding to the defense, allowing them to be a little bit more aggressive offensively. And they went out and got a guy like Jeff Carter, who's a proven goal scorer and is just added to their depth. So for me, regardless of what happens here in Game 1, I still think LA finds a way to win their first Stanley Cup.
Zach Gelb here on DARPATV.com in New York, talking to the great Eddie Olczyk. And Edzo, you look at the last time the Devils were in the Stanley Cup Finals, and that was back in 2003. They played an Anaheim Ducks team who was very hot. They had Jean-Sebastien Giguère in net. Do you see any similarities between the goaler back in 2003 to Quick right now?
Good question. I'm not really sure. I think that their ability, I think they're a little bit different type of goaltenders. Giguère was more of a shot blocker, where Jonathan Quick is more reactionary, very low to the ice, plays down on his knees a lot, very aggressive out on top. But look, at the end of the day, doesn't matter what your style is you got to stop the puck. And to this point, I think Jonathan Quick has been the MVP of the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and would expect him to continue to be as good as he's been for the LA Kings in the first 3 rounds in the Western Conference.
This Devil team definitely knows how to get the puck in the back of the net. You look at Kovalchuk, you need a big series from him, Zach Parise as well, and you don't have a lot of footage on getting past Jonathan Quick with only 2 playoff losses. As a coach, what are you saying to your team if you were Pete DeBoer to try to get past Quick and give him some keys to defeating this goaltender?
Well, first off, definitely got to be getting some traffic, but second of all is that any second chance opportunity, you got to go upstairs. You can't be looking to shoot the puck down low because you got defenders in front of you and you got goaltender down all the time. But I would say that every shot you take at Jonathan Quick's got to be 3 feet and higher. You cannot shoot the puck low on him. So every shot that I would be taking would be, with him going down, will be over his shoulder, over his ears. I would be shooting high every single time, and until he can stop those, you keep going to that area. So that would be my word to the Devils, and being a goal scorer in my day, that's where I would be targeting. I would be shooting upstairs every single time.
And on the other end, you had the reliable Martin Brodeur in net. You played against Marty. You coached against him back with the Penguins. And now you're analyzing him with NBC. He's going for that 4th cup in his great career. Easily a Hall of Famer. Every single year people say Brodeur's done. And then, hey, who knows? He's right back in the Stanley Cup Finals again, looking for that 4th cup. If Brodeur is to win the series, and I know you don't think he will, is this the end of the road for him?
Well, he seems to overcome a lot of adversity over the course of the last couple of years, and has played very well in these playoffs, and didn't have the greatest of regular season, but helped the Devils get in to the playoffs most importantly. There is something about leadership. There is something about having been there. I think it all starts at the top with President and General Manager Lou Lamoriello, who I have the utmost respect for, have known for, going on almost 30 years now. He always talks to me about leadership, about his hockey club, and it really starts with Marty Brodeur because he is the longest tenured guy on this roster right now. There is something for experience, Zach, and I think that Marty will find a way to give his team an opportunity to win each and every night. But I'm not sure if it's the end or not. It seems like he's, in the media yesterday and just kind of hearing his words over the course of the last couple of days, it seems that, he's going to come back, one more year. But I think winning and what would happen with the Stanley Cup certainly would be an interesting dynamic for him. But, he's earned the opportunity. There's no doubt he's a Hockey Hall of Famer. And when you've had this much success and quite possibly winning a 4th Stanley Cup, you start talking about, you talk about superstars and players that have, laid an imprint in the game and in the organization. It'd be hard hard to argue regardless of what happens with Marty's great career.
You look at this Devils team, an imperative reason why they are here is because of the play of their aggressive forecheck. Talk about the Kings going up against this Devils dynamic forecheck.
Well, that will be interesting because I don't think the LA Kings have seen a team that is this aggressive in the Devils. They forecheck well, they support extremely well. That's the one thing I'm most impressed with. Is their support by the second guy. First guy gets in, second guy is right on his coattail. So that'll be an interesting dynamic for the LA Kings, is how they respond to the aggressiveness of the New Jersey Devils, which is really their trademark.
Brown and Kopitar have been the two big point leaders for the Kings throughout the course of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You look back at the Eastern Conference Finals, the Devils were basically able to eliminate Marian Gaborik and Brad Richards. Do you see anything they do defensively where they could slow down Brown and Kopitar, or are those two guys just too much to handle with?
Well, I think playing with the puck is probably your best defense. Don't allow them to have the puck as much. But they're big guys. They protect the puck very well. They got high skill level. So maybe that's very difficult to, maybe you got to limit their chances. They're going to get their chances, but you got to limit them. But to me, I would want to play with the puck when they're on the ice.
We're talking Eddie Olczyk of NBC and NBC Sports. Game 1 tonight at the Prudential Center. Devils King. The winner looks throughout the course of this 7-game series to get that Stanley Cup and, drink out of it as the players do. You don't touch the cup until you win it. This fourth line for the Devils, Eddie, where'd they come from? They've been so good, and they were a big reason why they're here playing in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, Steven Gianta, Ryan Carter, and Steve Bernier, they really played well for Peter DeBoer, the New Jersey Devils. Guys that have been journeyman guys. Ryan Carter won a Stanley Cup with Anaheim a couple of years ago. You're in a situation where you need all four guys there. You need all four lines, and that line has played well. Has given them a lot of energy. Steven Gianta was double shifted back in Game 5 in that Rangers series. They give you a little everything. They give you some skill. They give you some size with Carter and Bernier. The scoring ability of Ryan Carter, and Bernier is a very underrated offensive type of player. He's been an underachiever pretty much his whole career, but that line has got a lot of chemistry, and the way that Peter DeBoer coaches, you need four lines, and those guys have rewarded the coach for making that decision.
Edzo, right before we let you run, next week we're having another NBC guy on, Larry Kalmus, who does the horse racing. He'll be on the call for Belmont. I'll have another's going for a Triple Crown. I know horse racing is now your big thing next to hockey. Who do you think's going to win that race over at Belmont?
Let me just clarify. I don't know if it's the next thing next to hockey. I would say that horse racing is right on the same level as hockey. That is my passion, and I've been involved in horse racing at a lot of different levels over really over the course of the last 25 years or so. It would be great for the game. It would be great for the notoriety. It's been a long time since the late 70s since we've had a Triple Crown winner, but I'm sure as Larry would attest, third race, 5 weeks, mile and a half. You got some fresh shooters coming in, very demanding on the horse, and Belmont's a tricky track. It's got wide sweeping turns. Mario Gutierrez, a rookie when it comes to being in this limelight, but he's 2 for 2 at this point. So it becomes really a rider's race, really, when you talk about a mile and a half. So I'd love to see it, but we'll have to wait and see come next Saturday.
Do you own any horses?
Not right now. Not right now. I've had a bunch of. I've been in on a bunch of horses over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, but nothing going right now, and just enjoy watching them run around and get a chance to get out to the different tracks. I've been out to Belmont a couple of times since I've been pretty much taking up residency here in New York since the Capital Rangers series, the Devil Rangers series, and now the Stanley Cup Final with the Devils and the Kings. So it's always great to get out and see some great people, and a lot of hockey fans are horse people, and that's a great combination. The best daily double you can have, hockey and horses.
I have a feeling, though, when you do get a horse, which I'm sure will be coming in the next few years, you're going to pay tribute to Kenny Loggins and names the horse. This is it.
That might not be a bad idea. Maybe I can hook up with Nick Zito, who won the '94 Kentucky Derby with Go for Gin, and maybe we can maybe do a little business somewhere down the road.
Edzo, thanks so much. I appreciate the time. Be well and enjoy the game tonight.
Exactly. Appreciate it.